Rolling.
Rolling. What is going on, everybody? It's time for another edition of CPR. If you're wondering why I have my sunglasses on, it's because we're in Orlando Stadium. We're down here for the Florida Cup all week long, but I'm wearing these because they control my rights. I've been giving them a lot of in the comments lately, so I'm just hiding out down here. But with so much attention on the World Cup already, and especially the big teams, we wanted to do our best to rank the 10 best national teams that haven't won a World Cup before and what their chances are in Russia this summer. So make sure you get down into the comments and let us know how you think we did. Now, let's get to it. Kicking this list off at number 10, it's Iceland. Let's keep it real here. I'd lose most of the credibility I still have left if I stood in front of you guys and said Iceland are going to win the World Cup. But this is football, so I'm saying there is a chance. But I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't really want them to win the trophy, because I do. They captured our hearts and minds during the Euros, and I'm hoping they do the exact same thing in Russia. And honestly, they could probably make some noise, even outside of the Viking clap. Alfred Finnbogason has been on fire in the Bundesliga, and they're organized and compact enough to do some damage. Okay, I'm out of breath, and after writing this whole bit, I realize they have zero chance of winning the tournament. But they are a great story, so here's hoping they do well. In at number 9, it's Nigeria, and it's a hard thing to call with these guys. Nigeria have an interesting mix of young and up-and-coming Premier League players like Iheanacho, Iwobi, and Ndidi, alongside experienced old heads like John Obi Mikel. The Super Eagles were the first African side to qualify for Russia, and at times they looked really special. They've got the potential to make some waves in Group D, which consists of Argentina, our beloved Iceland, and Croatia, but realistically, it's probably just going to be a valuable experience for the kids as most of them play in their first World Cup. But don't write them off completely. Coming in at number 8, it is Switzerland. Aside from one loss to Portugal in the qualifying round, Switzerland were perfect, which just shows you how difficult it is to qualify for the World Cup when you're qualifying in Europe. Well, that's all going to change in the next World Cup, but regardless, Switzerland qualifying after going 1-0 over 2 legs with Northern Ireland is pretty great. Both teams were willing to give up nothing, and Switzerland snuck out alive to reach their 4th straight World Cup. They've reached the round of 16 in 2 of their last 3 tournaments, and like Mexico, have their eyes set on reaching the quarterfinals. Mehmedi and Seferovic will have to lead the team in goals at this World Cup, but most of Switzerland's chances will come in their ability to fight, and a lot of that will fall on Rodriguez in the back line, and more importantly, Granit Xhaka in the middle of the park. If you watched any of Switzerland's matches in World Cup qualifying, you know that they're a team that can compete with just about anyone in the tournament, and a 5th game in the tournament in this edition of the World Cup is pretty damn realistic. For 7, we are going with Croatia. Croatia will face Argentina, Iceland, and Nigeria, and we're torn in this group. We know Argentina will go through, but it's anyone's guess who will take 2nd place. But Croatia are more than capable of leaning on superstar Luka Modric to pull the strings in the midfield, but Croatia is much bigger than Modric in terms of weapons. They've got Pjaka, they've got Mandzukic, Perisic, Kalinic, Rakitic, Kovacic, and Dejan Lovren. Very few teams with that type of roster should be considered underdogs, but I still consider them underdogs and my true dark horse for Russia 2018. At 6, it's Egypt. While just reaching this tournament was a celebration in itself for the Pharaohs, I have a feeling that they will be a hit at this World Cup as well. I can't really speculate on how far they end up going in this tournament, but they do have the most informed player in the world right now, named Mohamed Salah. Let's just hope in 5 months' time he's still in the same form. He has been a revelation for Liverpool and Egypt and is single-handedly capable of winning games by himself. He's got some good support though through old Mr. Reliable in goal, the dude El Hadari, who's 44 years old and is going to be likely playing in a World Cup, which will make him the oldest player to ever play in a World Cup. They've got Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay in their group, and they should get points against Russia and Saudi, and with Uruguay not being the strength they once were, not only getting out of the group is realistic, but so is winning it. For number 5, it is Poland. They cracked the top 5 well because they have a man named Robert Lewandowski. Bobby L is a monster for club and even seemingly a bigger monster for country, if that's even possible. He set the record for any World Cup qualifying campaign ever by scoring 15 goals and finishing 1 above Cristiano Ronaldo, and he will be the guy for Poland that takes all the pressure on him in the World Cup. If he does well, they go deep. If he doesn't, they just won't. Just the reality of being a big star for a small country. But he's not the only guy in the squad. They've got Błaszczykowski, Piszczek, and if they're lucky, Milic will be back from injury, whom they'll need if they want any chance of getting out of their group against Senegal, Colombia, and Japan. Coming in hot at number 4, it's Colombia. They struggled a bit during qualification, and it looked like Los Cafeteros might even miss out on the World Cup, but they didn't. James Rodriguez, Juan Cuadrado, Falcao, and the rest of the game figured it out though, and they're going to be a problem for many teams in Russia. They've got some young, special talent alongside those established stars, and kids like defender Yerry Mina are likely going to be household names within the next year or so. I'm not putting Colombia in my favorites, but they're right there on the top of the list for dark horse candidates. They really do have the quality to go head-to-head with any team in the world. And if they can stay organized and get production from players like their marquee players, there is no reason why they shouldn't come out of Group H above Senegal, Japan, and Poland. Coming in at number 3, it's Mexico. El Tri have the responsibility of keeping all of us in North America happy during the World Cup, and it will be no easy feat. Ask any Mexican national team fan and they will tell you that the only way to avoid failure is to get to that 5th game in the tournament. Costa Rica got a 5th game in 2014, US got a 5th game in 2002, and Mexico, who have been brilliant for long stretches, have yet to get that far. This is another country that doesn't quite have the weaponry to win a World Cup, and Chicharito only has 5 goals this Premier League campaign, but Chucky Lozano is on top of the scoring charts in the Eredivisie, and the 22-year-old could make the biggest impact of any player under the age of 23 in the tournament, and he's right here behind us warming up right now. In at number 2, it's the European champs, Portugal. How weird is that to say? European champs, Portugal? They weren't necessarily the most aesthetically pleasing team in 2016. In fact, they only won 1 game in the whole tournament in regular time, but their ridiculously stifling defense and some special performances from Ballon d'Or winner Ronaldo brought home the trophy. This summer is going to be interesting though. Portugal are absolutely stacked through the midfield, but a lot of the guys who start in the Euros are struggling at the club level. Renato Sanchez and João Mario probably wish that they could hit that reset button on this year, and Ronaldo himself is having one of the worst seasons of his entire career. It's going to be tough for them to pull out of their funk before Russia, but this team has so much experience throughout, it's hard to see them not being a real threat this year. Finally, at number 1, it's Belgium. Where do you start with these guys? The amount of talent this squad has is absolutely nuts. Eden Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, Dries Mertens, the list just keeps on going on and on and on. We're talking about some of the very best performers from around Europe, and they're all right in the middle of their prime as the World Cup hits. The 2 biggest question marks about this team, their fullbacks and their coach Roberto Martinez. He's knowledgeable, likable, and experienced, but there are still many question marks over his tactical ability. Between that and their lack of quality outside backs, there's some doubt about whether they really have what it takes to lift the trophy. We've talked about their golden generation since the last World Cup, so this could be the last chance for them to really fulfill that potential with a trophy before these players start to age a little bit. But look, they're stacked, and that's exactly why we've got them at number 1. So guys, that is it for this edition of CPR. Who do you think should have made the list? Iran, Denmark, Sweden, Serbia, Peru even? So many good teams, it was really tough for us to rule some of them out. But let us know which team that hasn't won a World Cup before has the best shot at winning the tournament, or at least going on a deep run in the tournament. And as always, comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys later.